Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Fajar Mutakin, and I am from English Education Department, Faculty of Education and Teacher Training, Wali Songo State Islamic University, Semarang. Okay, and in this video, I want to present about the article and the title Training Translator Trainers and Introduction. So, in this article, a training translator trainers and introduction. This article discusses the translator training, which is less outdated of design, even though there is a high interest in the translation pedagogy. So, the next is in the article objective. The objective of this special issue to address the remarkably neglected area of training translator trainers or educating the educators, especially the close art. There are 4 points. The first is to highlight the complexity of roles and demands faced by translator trainer. So the second is to provide good and better teaching practice that translator trainer educator. So the third, to increase the visibility and discussion around educating translator trainers. So the last is to present research and case studies demonstrating current approach to developing translator trainer. Okay, so and the next slide is about the issue in training translator trainers. There are 3 issues. The first issue is translator transfer competence and training is an under researched area. The second is competence model exists but sporadic empirical research. So the third is initiatives to develop trainer competences happening but limited impact. Okay, the first is translator transfer competence and training is less researched under. And this article mentioned that although there is a great interest in the translation pedagogy, training for its own translator is very neglected and less research in this article. So, about the modern competence, here is about sporadic empirical research. The competence model for translators such as Kelly and EMT is already exists. However, empirical research related to competence and training of translator is still very limited and sporadic. And in the initiative to develop competence, which they are, but the impact is limited. There are various initiatives at institutional level and inter-institution to develop competency translation, but the impact is often limited due to the lack of structural change and regulation in the context of individual organization. So, the bottom line or the conclusion from the issue is competence and development of competence for its own translator is still very less attention and research. Although there are some existing competencies and initiative models, more research is institutional and support of the problem to resolve this issue. Okay, next slide is about the trainer roles and development. There are 3 points. The first, complex set of educational research beyond just training. So the second, sustained reflection and tackling new problem needed. So the third is literature provide method but little on trainer learning. Okay, about the first point is The complexity of the role of education is exciting, just training. The term coach and training does not quite describe the complexity of the role and demand that must be met by educator of the translator. They play a role of complex education beyond just training. So the next second is the net reflection and handling of sustainable new problems. In this point, developing competence and translator requiring extensive and sustainable reflection and the ability to handle unexpected new tasks and problems. So that's about the literature profile method, but a bit about coach learning many translation pedagogy literature that provided methodologies, suggestion, and example of case studies about what and how to teach. However, very few consider how the educators themselves learn to do so. So, the role and development of the translator of trackers as a reflective practitioner and learners themselves is less attention and researchers. Although the literature of many discussing the teaching method of translation. The next slide is about developing trainer competence. In this slide, in developing trainer competence, there are 3 points. So the first is social constructivist research based and multiple voice approach. So the second is mismatch between beliefs and practice. So the third is burst self-efficacy via learning, teaching, research link. So social constructivist research based on multiple voice approaches. This is article mentions several translation pedagogy approaches that have contributed to development of the competence of translator and educator of translator. Among others, like the social constructivist approach of the Kirali, which implement authentic-based collaborative learning. So the second is the research-based compact approach, approval, and other is based on the functional, theoretical, and theory, and the assessment model of the functional to the design of the functional to redeemable and the multiple voice approach of Gonzalez Davis considers the diversity of sound and learners need in the classroom translation. And the second point, what the mismatch between belief and practice, article by we and identify that the non-conformity between what the Indonesian translator, what the Indonesian translator are believe on the development of translation competence with what they actually did in the practice of education. Yeah, so the last point is posting self-efficacy via learning, teaching, research link. Article by Hello Solar and Curali show that the social constructivist pedagogy approach driven by emerging emergency seem to have increased to identity of self-efficacy students. They conclude that learning process, teaching, and conducting interconnected research can be strategy for educational self-development educators. And the next slide is about the case studies. The case study from this article, there are 5 point case studies. The first is collaborative transformation for new translator roles, digital skill for job market via province project. So corpus tool for teaching audiovisual translation, designing audio description course, and the last is impact of technology on translator information behavior. The last slide are conclusion. The conclusion, I check 3 point conclusion from this article. The first is valuable spotlight on approaches to developing trainer competence. So second is encourage discussion on this important but neglected issue. So the last, much more research needed on trainer competence and its development. Okay, there are from my presentation, and I say apologies and I'm sorry if there are anything from my speak is mistake. I apologies and I'm sorry, and thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.